Well, here we are again. I thought I was done reviewing Doom on consoles, but after playing Doom 2016, I had it an itch that needed to be scratched. I needed to review at least one last Doom port. And no, I am not reviewing Doom 2016. It's a little too late for that now. Though I must say, that is an awesome game. So awesome that I bought all three versions. Why did I do that? Well, I just love Doom that much. No, what I am reviewing today is Doom 2 on the Game Boy Advance. Released about a year after the original Doom on that system. And after seeing how the original Doom turned out on a GBA, one would expect similar results. Well, I would say the outcome's a little bit mixed. First and foremost, Activision didn't go with David A. Palmer Productions this time. Instead, they handed the task over to Taurus Games. And Taurus opted not to port the original Doom engine this time around. Instead, they used an already existing engine that they developed called the Southpaw engine. This was a little worrying since the original Doom engine has already been proven to work on the Game Boy Advance, and introducing a new engine to the franchise was a bit of a risk. And if I have to be honest, the gameplay took a hit. Movement feels really stiff, and you can no longer just run into a room and start blasting. You will have to pre-plan your approach before executing it. Only those familiar with enemy placements can properly prepare. Though luckily their behavior has not changed. Both zombies and demons will approach and attack regardless. And also monster infighting is retained. Enemies also have a habit of doing nothing if you're far away, making them easy pickings. I don't know if this is a plus due to how slow you move, or a minus because it takes away from some of the immersion. Though I suspect they did this since they were trying to conserve some memory. This confuses me a little bit because despite being a portable version, Taurus Games managed to include the Arc Vial with its monster resurrecting abilities. Something that was absent from the PlayStation version. Visually, I have to say the game looks pretty good. Even though everything looks a little bit more pixelated than the original, it's more or less to be expected on a Game Boy Advance's screen. Luckily, no textures were cut from what I could tell, unlike the original Doom on the Game Boy Advance. Making out items and enemies in the distance is a bit of a challenge. However, despite that, it still retains the same look and feel, though the green blood is back from the previous year's port. Most likely they did this to keep it a teen-rated game. The colors have been brightened as well. This is probably due to how difficult it was to make out anything on the original Game Boy Advance. Just try playing Castlevania on this thing and you'll know what I mean. Controls are kinda laggy. There's a noticeable delay between your button press and the action on screen. This is especially troubling when you're surrounded by enemies and need to aim properly, or if you want to stray left or right to dodge enemy fire. Luckily though, the latency is not as bad as it was on the Super Nintendo, and it's only obvious in certain sections of the game. With some time you could get used to it. The button layout is the same as the original Game Boy Advance port. A is to run and open doors, and B is to shoot. Strafing is done by pressing L and R, and changing weapons is done by pushing L and R simultaneously with the B button. This setup works surprisingly well. The sound is pretty spot on. Every growl, scream, and gunfire is present. However, the Arc Vial's flame attack sound was taken out. However, this is only a minor issue since he only appears a handful of times. The Game Boy Advance's renditions of Doom 2 tracks are pretty good. Though the bass is a little heavy, it's not really off-putting. Despite that, only 2 tracks were taken out, between levels and getting too intense. It is suspected that they were trying to conserve cartridge space, only a minor sacrifice if you ask me. All in all, it's a pretty damn good port with most of the content retained. There's definitely some replay value here, especially if you can find somebody to do multiplayer with. Although, the latency is one sore spot. Doom in general is supposed to be fast-paced and fun, and the lag kind of kills it, particularly when the enemies are coming out of the woodwork from all directions and you're having a tough time aiming. I would have to give this port a B-. It's definitely an awesome port with minor sacrifices, though controls are something the Doom veteran will have a hard time overlooking. And I gotta say thank you guys for watching my review. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And like always, have a good one. Take care, you guys.